video, we're going to look at how wave properties are specific in sound. So wave properties that we're going to talk about are frequency, wavelength, and amplitude, and how changing these particular properties of a sound wave then change the way that we hear the sound in our ears. So the first one is frequency. So frequency, by definition, as a review, is how often the sound waves travel. So here we're talking about sound, so it's how often the sound waves travel. So it's the how many compressions come through in a given amount of time. This tells us pitch. And so pitch is how high or low the sound sounds. So for example, high pitch and low pitch. So it has nothing to do with volume, but simply how you hear. So for example, girls usually have higher pitched voices than boys do. Boys usually have lower pitched voices. So pitch is not volume, it's how high or low the sound is. A higher frequency gives you a higher pitch, and a lower frequency gives you a lower pitch. So these are directly related. Higher frequency, higher pitch, lower frequency, lower pitch. So now wavelength. So how does wavelength affect it? Well, wavelength is inversely proportional to the frequency. So the wavelength here is the length of one wave. That's review from last unit. This is measured in sound from compression to compression. So as the frequency increases, the wavelength should decrease, inverse related. So here in my little animation, you would measure the wavelength from compression to compression. So the dark spot to the next dark spot. And finally, amplitude. Amplitude, from review of last unit, is the height of the wave, or here we can also call it the intensity. So height or intensity of the wave. Amplitude deals with volume. So the volume of the sound, so how loud or soft the sound wave is. Volume is measured in decibels, which is denoted by little d, big B, so dB for decibels. And a higher amplitude makes a louder sound, and a lower amplitude makes a quieter sound. So here you can imagine now, if you have a wave, the higher amplitude would be louder than the smaller amplitude. Now just to make sure, I'm going to draw this with the same frequency so you don't get confused on that. There we go. So this would be a louder sound, and this would be a quieter sound. If you've ever seen an equalizer for a sound system, you know, for your speakers in your cars or anything like that where it had an equalizer, you'll notice that as you turn the volume up, that the height of that equalizer picture gets larger and larger. So that's showing you that change in amplitude, which then creates a larger volume. You can also see it in a speaker as a speaker moves. If you have the volume down, that speaker is just going to move a little bit in and out. But if the volume is high, then you see it really pumping back and forth.